Welcome back to the A stream, where we're about to get underway with BDS's second game of the day against none other than Astralis. They've already had a victory today against a European team, a French one at that. So maybe, Tim, it'll be 2-0 for Astralis on the day.
Certainly could be more of the same. One of the top team in NAL so far. They've impressed already today. Astralis are some people's favourites for the tournament. They're certainly one that people expect to go a long way, and this is going to be a big test of that.
Absolutely so. Today already they've beaten their way past Wolves, who were formerly known as LFO. If you weren't, of course, aware as to who they are, they had themselves, I think, at a 6-4 lead, and then it all slipped away from them in the last few seconds as Astralis did battle back. So it was a hard-fought win, but a win nonetheless. Let's take a look at our teams as well. In case you haven't seen these players, I'm pretty sure you will have before as well. There'll be names that you are familiar with if you've watched NA or if you've watched EU. They shouldn't be too surprising to your team, because realistically, they're putting good numbers on the board, they're delivering. Why wouldn't you know who they are?
Absolutely that, and you've just seen 5 of them play with the BDS roster. Of course, if you caught the last game, BDS struggling to a win, but getting there in the end against Chiefs nonetheless. But as you said, we'll have a little look, we'll break them down. We've got, of course, Shaco, Brede, Rafal and Renshiro and Lems lining up for BDS again.
And on the other side, Shuttle, DP5, Forest, Iconic, and J90, Iconic, of which we have a quick feature on. So let's take a look on what he had to say about this competition.
Iconic just didn't have that sort of impact game that we saw him have on the Sonics last year.
Iconic, who just joined not even a month ago at this point in time, there's a lot of question marks.
Iconic is just playing with fire.
He also is wildly inconsistent.
I think that just speaks a lot to the potential that Iconic has.
When I first met Iconic, this dude, all he did was talk to me like he was crazy, like just talking out the side of his head.
Yo! Were you moppy, bro?
Right after that Iconic clutch in the 1-on-2, they were all firing.
Iconic going massive, a quad kill for him in that round.
And he gets the pull! Iconic with the ace!
Iconic, technically, he saves his entire team.
Ready to make them talk again. See you in Charlotte.
I love a little bit of spice, I do, Tim. Love that sort of talk. Here are the teams, in case you did miss them a short time ago. Neither side, again, needing massive amounts of reintroduction. We've seen them both already play so far today. Tim, coming into this game, we were looking at this being a real showdown for this group. We thought, great, BDS should cruise past Chiefs, Astralis already with a win on the board, but both teams so far have had a real showdown towards the back end of a game, going towards all 12, if not beyond that, into overtime. So these are two teams that, sure, have played well, have got their wins, but there's definitely work to do for both.
Oh, there absolutely is. Like I say, coming in, personally, I feel like Astralis have just got a little bit of an edge on this one. But as you say, I think ultimately it's going to be very close. For me, it's down to whether BDS show up or not. I'm sort of looking at Astralis and I'm expecting them to show up. Whereas BDS, I've still got that question mark for.
Still, though, the time of day could change a lot of things as well. Astralis had their game earlier. They got all pumped up for it. They kind of cooled down again. It can be hard to get yourself back into it. Yeah, BDS have basically just had, it sounds really disrespectful. It's not meant to be. They've just had a scrim against Chiefs.
They've just had a warm-up.
They've had a warm-up. Thanks very much, Chiefs, for that one. Absolute superstars. But it does mean that they're quite warm here. They're still fresh. They're still in that mindset of playing, whereas Astralis have got to get themselves re-warmed into things. It could take a few rounds, which BDS could take an advantage. But let's see what map we're stepping into first and foremost. First two off the board are going to be Theme and Club.
Well, that is 2 big maps taken out. Villa, no surprise BDS taking that one down. We've seen them play it a little bit more over the sort of recent past, but it's still one that maybe not too keen on. Border Oregon go by the wayside as well. Skyscraper Des, we were getting so close.
Please, one day, one day. Clubhouse makes sense from Astralis, by the way. They haven't played it so far over the last few months. I was going to say Bank, they haven't either, but it is a map that's being brought into the spotlight for them, so this could be quite spicy. Astralis, again, not yet stepping into this map at all in Stage 1. BDS have played it 3 times. They played it against Virtus Pro, or Outsiders as they were known for this stage. They lost it to TSM and Fury, though, at SI. So a map we have seen them on a few times, but I go back to talking about maps like Cafe earlier on. We were speaking about some teams that haven't played that this year, then they bring it out and start playing it, and you do get a lot of that sort of back and forth between teams. So Bank, a massive map when we think about it. I think actually to when BDS were playing on this map, the number of times I saw Alems walk into square double door and just get killed by someone on Janitor Doorway was a little bit silly. So from my recollection, BDS have got work to do here. Astralis have got it all to show because they've not played this map. They're the ones who can bring out some surprises, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big question mark on both sides, really. For me, for BDS, it feels like their struggles with it are probably, like you say, down to the size of the map. I commented in the last game, BDS are much more of a site-based team. They're not a team that tends to get out on the roam too much, and when they do, not always having success with it. And Bank is a map where you need that roam. You need to be getting out and using all 3 floors and just making it very difficult for the attackers when you're on defense. BDS will kick us off on the defense, and as you say, we don't know what we're going to get out of Astralis, but if when they're on the defense they can sort of bring that strong roam presence, it could be a difficult day for BDS.
I referenced a Nook pick earlier on, Tim. We saw a team bringing it along. I do forget which one. We've had 4 games so far today. My memory's not that good in my old age. But I said at the time, the Nook you don't really see, but teams pretty much are guaranteed to ban it on this map. They are so fearful of the late round garage flank coming out of a Nook. Even if they think a team doesn't play it, it can just do untold damage if you're not expecting it and can make it really hard to defend the downstairs. So even without ever seeing Astralis play this map, BDS have got it banned away. Astralis coming back with a Thatcher and a Kai ban here as well. Otherwise, you'd be forced to bring along something like a Maverick in every single round. It does mean that her banner is still on the board, Tim. So the Hatch Queen will be present through a number of these rounds. Mira then also going to be our final ban away. So really the Nook, the only one there that looks like an outside ban. Everything else, pretty run-of-the-mill, to be honest.
We're going to be getting into the thick of things now, and I'm looking forward to this one. You know, I know that we've seen Astralis play already, but I'm really looking forward to casting Astralis, the #1 team out of NAL, really having a breakout stage so far, and now we see them here at the Major, and I am pumped to see what they can do here on Bank against what should be one of the top EU teams.
Where I feel nervous already, looking at these lineups as we go down into the basement to kick things off, is we don't have a smoke on side. We have Bride on that Chanka. Now, I sound concerned. Chanka, we spoke about a number of times, not really super solid when it comes to denying people from pushing in. Like, they can step into a site, they can walk over the flames, it's no issue at all. Where he does come into some effect is when he can deny away plant spots. And here on this map, we know how much teams love planting just inside the doorway of the lockers, or the security room, sorry, on the downstairs. So, with how that plays out, pretty effective on the spot. You just got to make sure you've got that ping-pong pinball wizard game down to an absolute T, Tim. Otherwise, you can give away a small patch of land that the attacker can step inside and get off a plant.
The big problem with the Tachanka that we've seen specifically, Des, when you talk about getting them into the right position, it's when playing against the Ossa. So quite often, the Ossa will breach the wall. Well, won't personally breach the wall, but the wall will be breached near the server stack. They also will push just inside, put the Talon shield down, and try to plant behind it. Now, the difficulty with that is when you try to get those Shumika launch canisters in behind the shield, they bounce off the wall above, and they bounce back clear, and the fire doesn't reach behind the shield. And that was something we've seen teams have a real difficulty with when they've been trying to play against that Talon shield plant. And so that could be something that Astralis might use. Get in there, use the Ossa, get the shield down, and just make it really difficult for Bride to do his job with the Tachanka and to prevent that plant going down.
Some people call me a lunatic, Tim, but genuinely think Chanka needs a small range buff on those Shumikas. Not a massive one, just a small one.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it into like Goyo fire.
I mean, everyone was like, oh man, Goyo, going to be so bad without his shields, and now look at him, he's like so obnoxious.
Yeah, it is.
Like Citizens played it almost exclusively so far today, for example. It's just so good.
I love now that they're not part of a shield, I love the changes that we've started to see for the Goyo, and it's a little bit of a sidetrack whilst we get the rehorse going. But yeah, I love the changes that we've seen from it, particularly using those canisters on reinforcements and on barricades.
Yeah.
And just completely shutting down a rush. It's just such a smart way of doing it. You know that once that wall gets open, once that door gets open, window, whatever it might be, there's going to be at least 20 seconds until any action comes through there.
Spios just like tucking a lems in. I think he was helping him rearrange his cable, like, come here, son, I'll sort it out for you. Do you remember Bias's announce video as well when he joined the team? When he was like sat in that room with like a board next to a machine, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then he was just like, now I'm the boss, and it was like, oh yeah, it was so good.
I mean, that first game particularly, he put some work in.
I'm sure he will, and much more is to come. Right then, Lockers and CC. We are getting back underway with exactly where things started out before we had the rehost. Everyone must take the same operators, which I imagine will mean you'll see the repicks going the same way. The one thing I'm looking at and thinking, Tim, okay, there's no smoke for Big Dinar. There's a Chanka to kind of slow the attackers down, which then makes you think, okay, then why do they want to slow them down? What's the game plan here? And part of me leans in towards Alems on that Vigil, an old operator that he used to play an awful lot historically. If he can get a roam off on square, for example, and come down behind the side of Astralis, that's where the real damage is waiting to happen.
As I said, it's definitely something that they need to be, you need to be utilising, is getting out in the map here, BDS, and it's not something that they've always shown us is necessarily that effective for them. We're going to have Breeder doing all the work inside a site at the minute. Obviously, the big LMG from Tachanka makes that pretty easy to do. Now, the hatch has been opened up, so that's going to give an opportunity for Lems to move back, but what it is going to mean is that likely they're going to have somebody playing inside of open area there. We're having the reinforcements placed, so we are going to see this sort of vertical extension of the site. We see it sometimes, not all the time. We'll see how BDS play out with it.
Well, sometimes does tend to mean not all the time, Tim.
Just.
Absolutely.
I'm glad
does.
you picked up on that, Des.
Just always checking you, mate, don't worry.
You're so sharp.
100%. 100%. Let's see how things shape up, because it's going to be this vertical setup then coming out from a couple of members. Shaiko looking to be a bit cheeky around Marble, but could dip his way back down towards the basement. We've got to get into this argument that we always have, Tim, about this hold inside of Open Office. We've got to have that debate today.
It's grown on me a little bit, but still
no.
not massively. Still not massively. I think I'm okay with it like this.
What's this? Hang on.
There's
There's a lot coming in through the front entrance here, and there's a hatch on the other side of it as well. They're going to go for a rush
straight for the hot drop, straight
the three of them, it's like 3, 2, 1, all drop together!
See this.
What's up, boys? Coming in through the vault as well. Forest looking for Rafal, but Rafal might be able to find one. He misses the shots! How do you miss a 3v2k inside of the vault? But they've stormed their way in. 2 kills do come back from BDS. A 3 versus 3, a 3 versus 2, all inside 60 seconds. They've come in at pace. Alems coming now Marble. It's a massive recovery effort coming out of BDS here as well, but 2 kills come in from Astralis. That hot drop rush completely captured the French side off guard.
It really did, and that was impressive from Astralis, just doing things a little bit differently and just completely circumnavigating any defense that BDS had put in position and just work straight route one into sight. It was the double kill from Forest that really opened things up then.
Again, really, I felt like Rafal should have had a kill, if not 2, as he came flanking in on the south side there, because he had access through the window. He saw 2 players, he took some shots, they connected, but it wasn't enough to finish them off until Forest spun and got the second. If he gets 2 kills there, that rush stops. There is no more momentum for Astralis. They've lost 2. There's one player stuck in Narnia inside a gold vault or something, where he can do very little. But again, this is what it comes down to sometimes, these single small moments, and that is one I'm sure BDS can look back on and say, we really should have had that one.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to what we were talking about the vertical extension, I think so long as it's limited in scope, then
it's really playing on your mind, that, isn't it?
You asked me the question, I'm giving you the answer. It's limited. If it's limited in scope, as I would suggest it is here, then I'm kind of okay with it. We see it working. The problem I have is when teams overcommit to it, and they put castles up there, and they put bulletproof cameras up there, and they've got the reinforcements up there, and it leaves them seriously light on sight in terms of utility, and they get chased out of there in 45 seconds a minute, and they're straight down the hatches, and it just gives up far too much to me. So I think it's very important, if you're going to have that vertical presence, that you really manage the level of utility that's being put into holding it.
That you don't overcommit.
Yes, absolutely that.
Well, a couple of changes coming in this round. It's Alems going across onto the Valkyrie as number 1. That change away from being on the Vigil will give them more utility, hopefully help them catch if the second rush was coming in. But it's one of those whole, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. BDS should not get caught up by the same sort of play once again. Astralis have also slowed things down here, because already we're 60 seconds into the round, and it's not a 3 versus 2, Tim. It is still a 5 versus 5.
much better from BDS, that much has to be said. Surviving the first minute. Shuttle is going to be taken down by Shaiko, and that is a much better start. Shaiko's going to play on the hatch here. He's no doubt going to look for a fadeaway at some point and just try to take a few shots as he dips himself back down the hatch. He's got Renshiro in support at the minute as well, who decides, you know what, it's time to go. Him and Shaiko leave open area to Astralis. They are going to have control of the hatch, but that is not a bad first half of the round from BDS.
No, getting the kill, dropping back down to site, burning through 90 seconds, a good start overall. Now though, Astralis are trying to get themselves set up, looking at what the next step is going to be, and those hatches slowly being chewed open. Interesting, by the way, that in this attack, they're bringing along the Ace and the Thermite. I mentioned earlier on that Hibana's not banned away. Why wouldn't you bring her along? There are so many hatches on the downstairs that you have to chew your way through normally. I think it's 5 is the count that you can possibly open up. Nothing is ever going to stop a Hibana at getting those opened up.
Forrest moves downstairs with Diffuser in hand. He's going to try backing in here, but out come those Shumika canisters.
Perfectly
and
placed.
That is going to make it difficult. Breeder hitting the spot. Elems, he's going to get taken down by DP Fire, and that now leaves us 4v4. Forrest is going to continue trying to push forward here, but Shaiko manages to find a second on the round, and that is going to be Renshiro in on the action as well. 4v2, Forrest moving in, trying to get that plan down. He's going to look to stick it, but no, it's going to be the Shumika launcher that gets the kill, Des. Breeder looking to prove a point about the Tachanka, and that's BDS with a good defensive basement this time.
That might be the most effective we've seen it be. However, I will say it's comboed off with the C4s that came out as well, because when the Shumikas were burning down on the Thermite wall, they also had a C4 come out a little bit deeper towards the server wall on the east side. So in combo, they locked everything off, but it's still a big 3K for Breeder, who was playing inside of sight, just kind of like pinging them over the top of the shield as well, getting them just inside of sight to stop the plank coming down. A good round for BDS and showing that round one, all right, cool, you caught us out. This time round, we are more prepared. Staff room and open area, arguably the most popular site on this map at the moment, is where we go to for round number 3.
I think that round sets us up beautifully for the rest of the game here, because we've had Astralis sort of steal around with a bit of a cheese play, getting in there with the rush, but then when they try to play into BDS's strategy cleanly, then it's a little bit of a different story, and BDS lock it down, and I could see that being a little bit of a pattern as we continue forward here. It's going to be staff and open area this time for BDS defending in round 3. Breeder putting the bulletproof cam into lobby.
We've seen that bulletproof a few times in the UL. I think it's just super effective because you can't shoot it from the side very easily, and it gives you all this visibility of what's going on inside of the lobby. It forces someone like J90 to whip out the impacts and burn through it at distance. I'm pretty sure historically we've seen teams stick a bunch of ADSs inside of the front desk area as well and just catch out tons of utility as it came flying through. All that over a measly bulletproof camera.
This is it, but the information that's getting fed in from them can be so critical that you just can't ignore. Now then, we're going to have the barricade on the window blown open there. J90 moves away, so he's not going to be in a position to make any sort of direct challenge onto it immediately, but it's going to at least open up that long line of sight, and we can just hear the LMG chewing away there.
I think you got DP Fire rotating around to put himself in lone office as well, so he controls the Beepers hallway halfway up Marble. Meanwhile, for other members of Astralis, they're working their way out towards Square and down towards this quad wall. Something we always see the focus being is around here, and normally you'll see 2 mute jammers on it, as we've got here. It does mean the very center of the wall, though, is susceptible to being opened. It just stops teams opening up either side of it as our second EE1D of the round rings out.
No real push coming in line with that. It's just freezing BDS in place for a couple of seconds, but no real pressure or challenge applied from Astralis to coordinate with that. No vertical action going on as of yet either. Rafal going to be quite happy to keep himself inside of Archives if he is allowed to, and he's going to keep the ability to at least rain bullets up through that floor. Doesn't have Nitro in hand at the minute, but can still make challenges, however. DP Fire with a beautiful angle from the vertical there. Finds Elems for the opener.
That's what you want. And the pings of the drones coming out as well. They know where these players are, so they can just keep on raining down death from above. Iconic hoping to hold the angle, but the man goes to the move. Can he find the head? No, he can't. Just about dodging away. There's a couple of kills that come through, sure. Rafal finds one back in all the mess, but Astralis still have the numbers advantage of 4 versus 2 and 65 seconds to play. BDS's days are looking numbered here, Tim.
Certainly are, and Shiro Breeder are going to have to try and lock things down inside a site, but they've just got so many angles to watch. They've got the barricade with the angle all the way through into Staff. Look at that from J90. Manages to find his man. Breeder shut down. Renshiro's got one thing to his advantage here, and that's the fact that he's got the Elder in hand, but Forrest able to drop and start getting that diffuser down, and there's very little that Renshiro can do about this. He needs to wait for the smoke to clear, and he just needs to hope that there's an opportunity to find himself a cheap kill or two to get things going, but no, he's watched from the window. He's shut down by Shuttle, and that's going to be another round to Astralis. 2-1 now.
Yeah, a little bit comfortable in that round, and this is where things really start to get spicy, because it could be this back and forth, answer for answer between BDS and Astralis. In terms of Astralis attack something, BDS go, oh, that didn't work very well. Change something up, find a response to it. And here, I think a lot of it came down to that vertical play and how exposed BDS were for much of the round to the sledge and the buck on the upstairs. Sorry, to the buck on the upstairs. The small change to be made, no doubt. Otherwise, Astralis can just keep on going. 2-1 it stands, going into round number 4.
Plenty of excitement.
Same side again.
The team. Plenty of excitement. Yep. The thing is, are we going to follow the same pattern? Do we have BDS this time able to adjust, adapt, able to lock it down as they did with Lockers last time around? Or will Astralis this time be able to squeeze a little bit more of the same out of the round and get this one? I mean, they were pretty much, you know, away and clear that last round. It really wasn't much of a challenge from BDS at all.
It wasn't, no. There wasn't much fighting him in a way, right? Being picked up for free. They'd find one kill back in the middle of it, but it was already a 4 versus 2 by that point. Not that it really mattered at all. And it was here where Rafal was playing that we saw a lot of the trouble, really, because inside of this area where Breede's also sat, you know, inside of Tellers and Archives is where they were getting picked off from above, where the pressure was being applied, where there were drones from Astralis seeing every single move that BDS were making, and BDS almost a bit too stubborn to pull back to sight as the ceiling above them started falling down. So here in this round, maybe that's going to be the focus is, forget about trying to be hyper-aggressive in Tellers and Archives. Let's get back a little bit sooner and not find ourselves sat in a 4 versus 1.
J90 once again blasting out the castle barricade, so all very similar from Astralis so far. Just nice play from the buck there. It's just great. Shuttle using that upside down rappel, window open, and just blasts that wall open, and we saw how effective it was in shutting Ranshiro down at the end of the last round. So BDS, for me this time, they need to hold on to those numbers for a little bit longer. They just got cut down in sort of the early to mid round, and it just really left them on the back foot.
No doubt, though, for the side of Astralis, it's going to be why change, what ain't broken. Let's get that vertical control. Let's get some nades down there, hold those angles, force BDS to move, and pinch them on their retreat back in towards the site. That really is going to be the name of the game, so we'll see how it starts to play out. No one really coming in from the lobby side just yet. Iconic, I think, was starting out there as it opened up the ATM's door, but has now moved himself up towards the roof and is rotating over to join the rest of the team on the top floor now that they've got safe control up there.
J90 going to use that soft breach to open up the wall into stock there. Doesn't get the floor. I was just seeing if he got anything of the floor there to offer a vertical angle, but I don't think he did. It's not going to matter. Oh, no, he did on the far side. It's going to be Buck in there anyway. Shuttle just clearing that floor out and looking for those vertical angles. We saw him able to get the kill last time around. Will it be the case this time? Can't quite see anybody as of yet. Shaiko finds one on the reverse angle. Iconic was just about to dump a nade in there to clear that Banshee as well, and that is perfectly timed from Shaiko.
That's the problem in a way, because they've also got things like, well, the nades are two of their big things to destroy away this gadgetry that was inside. They've now got the Zofia with the impacts, just one remaining. They've got the Gon6 on the Lion, but that's about it. Everything else, looking at the bubbles, the castle barricades, the Banshees are going to stay standing at this point. Doesn't stop them getting some more kills back. A 4 versus 3, looking good for Astralis once again.
Gonna be Breeder just holding the angle onto the window. We've got the utility raining in, takes his shots, not gonna find anything of the Zofia of J90 there. Just looking to continue peeking around this corner. We've got a little bit of debris in his way there. Just gonna blast it out of this line of sight with that LMG and see if he can get anything working. But Breeder keeping himself safe for the time being, and Astralis just feeling with 30 seconds left to go like they're struggling to get themselves into a position inside.
Well, J90 finds one, make it a second as well. They found the kills they need, but Rafal pulls 2 back, but can they shut him down here? Sat inside a Bleeper, C4 over the top, diffusers on the ground, and 15 seconds to play. J90 makes it 3. Astralis with round 4. BDS now down 3-1.
not looking good for BDS at this point, struggling to get themselves into this one. They've had the one round down in lockers. I mean, the positive for them is they can go back there now after trying staff twice, but given what we saw against Chiefs as well, it's just looking a little bit tough for BDS today. Not really waking up and not really getting into things on bank. It was a map that I was a little bit concerned for them. Playing staff and open, nobody up on the top floor. There's nobody at any point trying to make that challenge. They were Astralis able to go in there and use those verticals, and BDS for me, like I said, bank is a big map where you got to use the roam, and BDS just aren't a team that are doing that right now.
I'll go back to that magical word once again, Tim. I have a feeling it's going to follow me all of this week. They're just not a particularly exotic team. It feels predictable at some levels. It feels safe. And where some teams are willing to kind of break the mold and step outside of it and do some crazy stuff, BDS are one of those teams that are more likely to stick and play it safe. But here, we need to see some magic coming out. You might have Shaiko sat at 6-3, but it's not giving you the rounds that you need to get over the finish line. A much more team-allied effort coming out of Astralis so far. They're moving over to bring in the Oster in this round, Tim. Now, we saw some really creative play coming out. I think it was M&M versus G2, where G2 in their prior bank game had ran a lot of Monty. Then it came into the next play day against M&M, and they just rolled a lot of Oster. So changing up what shield operators they were using, changing the way their executes worked all together. So I like how for Astralis, again, they've got different ideas in the back pocket. Even though they haven't got a massive need to change anything here, they're going to do that regardless. That thermite wall doesn't look very reinforced, Tim. It's
no,
been opened up already.
They left it open last time around, and Forest was able to get in there and try to push to put the diffuser down, but BDS obviously confident that Brede on the Tachanka is enough to prevent that happening. It was last time around, to be fair. He had to push in deep to try and get the plant down by the bomb chassis, and we'll see whether Astralis can maybe just get a little bit better control of site this time before they look to be putting that diffuser down on the ground. Lems is out on the roam on the alibi this time, not too far away from site, but certainly going to be a nuisance at least. Iconic, he manages to make a nuisance of himself, opening things up, finding a kill onto Renshiro, and it's advantage Astralis, big advantage as Forest manages to find a Lems, and that's the roam gone, and Astralis can start working towards site.
They lost the drone on him earlier on, but they knew exactly where he was and knew that he wouldn't have moved a great deal. Look, I've not seen an Oster used down here before, but Iconic has got himself set up right in the bottom side of the garage here, down behind the ambulance or the red truck or whatever you want to call it. I'm pretty sure you'll see an ambulance in the bank, but here we are. Down at the bottom side of it, he now has a wonderful line of sight straight through into lockers, which one, puts Brede under a little bit of threat, but also stops BDS comfortably crossing across this point, which Rafal is now looking to go through. But Iconic was forced to back away as the Shumaker's reined in, finally gets himself picked off. So now that control in garage reduced massively.
Beauty of a kill from Rafal there, but DP5 continues to apply that pressure. Going to be playing up behind the shield there, just going to be able to lock himself in and get out the Selma charge. Gets shot off because it is onto a soft wall, so can be shot from the other side as well. Forest goes in, trying to put that diffuser down for the time being, probably looking to bait out a bit of utility as well. Going to have to make a second attempt, and Brede, he's just going to continue firing these Shumaker launchers over. The stun grenades are going to try to slow him down, but for the time being, he keeps them exactly on the money.
I'd love to see him make use of the smokes here from Forest as well. You've got them on the Twitch, you know, why not go for it? But instead they go shallow. There's no C4 on side this time round. Rafal, any Yokais on side? The answer apparently is no. Shuttle with 2 massive kills, and that should be enough to get them round number 5 here. A 3 versus 1 for Astralis in a post plant, and they're still being pinned down by this man inside of the garage. That is a wonderful attack out of Astralis because, Tim, for much of that round, they had 2 players completely pinned who would normally deny the plant. They simply couldn't because of that one angle coming out of the Oster shield. Wonderful stuff.
BDS needs to be very careful here, Des, because right now Astralis are starting to run away with this. And the thing is, if they get 5-1 and go on to the defense, they can just start locking things down. All they need to do is find one site that they can win. That's as simple as it is. If they've got 5 on the first half, Astralis find one site, lock it down, win it twice, done. They've won the game.
Understandably, BDS take that time for attack timeout. They know they need something here, right? You can probably stomach a 2-4 half on defense on bank. A lot of teams do well on the attacking half of bank. I think it's actually our most attacker-leaning map in the pool. I think in EU at least it's like 37% attacker win rate, defender win rate, sorry. So it's very good for attackers. You'll take it. It's not ideal, but you need this round. It goes to 5-1. I can just see Astralis finding some kind of crazy round, pulling it out the bag, and suddenly you're sat facing down the barrel of match point constantly as you try and fight your way up that mountain as BDS. That doesn't really feel too climbable right now. The guy's looking a little bit deflated again. Astralis in full spirit because you can hear just how noisy they're being.
Absolutely, they're enjoying playing. That much is clear, and they're looking at potentially walking away with 5 points. I don't think we've had anybody better that today, have we?
I tell you what, I'm going to take a stroll around the back of our desk, mate. I'm going to take a pew.
Take a little stroll. I don't think anybody's had 6 points. I can't think of anybody that's got 2 clear regulation time wins.
I can't think of anyone that has, no. It's been very back and forth. I said it earlier on, where teams have won the first game, they've then gone to lose the second or go to overtime or whatever it comes down to. So we've got, no, 4 points is the highest we've hit so far. So Astralis, they will be the first team on 5 points.
And I tell you what, they're looking good for it at the minute. 4-1 as we head into round 6. BDS's final roll of the dice on defense is going to be up on the top floor. It's going to be CEO. And to be honest with you, Des, I feel like this site maybe suits them the best on Bank because, as I've said, they've not been playing the roam. They've not been at least using it effectively. They tried in the last round. It was shut down. Ranshiro and Alems were cut down early. They don't need to play a roam game here on the top floor. This, for me, suits BDS's play style a little bit more. They can just lock it down, turtle up, and make Astralis' life difficult by preventing them access into the map.
Alems on the Doc's a fun one. Don't really see that these days. I think the couple of times you've seen Doc used is normally in conjunction with something like a Clash who's holding down a key area. You've got to juice her up to make sure she doesn't die. But he's playing very much solo by himself off on the roam here. Doc, of course, can self-heal himself for quite a bit these days. Got all the different scopes you can play around with. And I think mainly part of it comes down to the fact that bulletproof is very useful for the information. And it's like, well, what else can we play here that's got a bulletproof? Sure, there are answers to that question. But any that we sorely need, like the gadgets of, if not, let's make our roam even stronger.
Shako just playing outside of stock there. He's very much bunkered it in. He's got reinforcements on the side of him. He's got the shield in front of him. He can keep himself in behind that wall. Ranshiro with a nice pick onto Iconic to kick us off here. And that is exactly what BDS needed. Taking the Finker down. The nanobot heals go with her. Potentially a couple of nades as well, and BDS just really wanting that advantage inside of this round. They don't want to be 5-1 down at the half.
Yeah, I think the big one really is getting rid again of those 2 nades. For any of the gadgetry that set up things like shields as well, you're now really relying on your Finker to get that done. Okay, admittedly as well as Flores as well, of which they haven't used any of their Otero drones so far in this round. They're halfway in, and normally that's all you'll see a Flores doing in the first half around is using those drones. But someone else steps out. DP Fire, once again, is ready and waiting on this repel. They didn't have a man there at first, but now he's doing a lot of work. And here comes their push up the main stairs. The Monty of Forest charging up first and foremost. The Yokais, whatever. Just shooting away for scrap metal at this point. They double back down, grab onto that diffuser, and now want to work their way up. I wonder if they know that Rafaldo is sat here inside of the elevator.
They must have an idea as the bullets continue to rain through. J9O has hit the deck. He knows he's waiting for the challenge, but he thinks he's on the left. But really, the Echo is on the right. Rafal needs to take this peek, but he won't know that he's prone. He finds the man. Absolutely removes his head, and he's not going to over-peek this, I don't think. He's not going to give DP Fire the opportunity. That was the mistake of Alems, but Forrest, he finds him with the pistol from the Monty. He's able to recover the diffuser as well, and with 45 seconds left to go, there's a real opportunity for Astralis to get in and get a plant.
Absolutely, it's looking tough for BDS here as well. Again, facing down the barrel of a 5-1 scoreline. Not the ideal scoreline they wanted to walk out of this first half with, but Astralis are leaving them with no other choice. Shaiko inside of Janitor's got some work to do. Brede also holding on to 2 more smoke canisters in back pocket. Can stall out a little bit of time here, but is it going to be enough? Absolutely not. DP Fire into a triple in the round. Forest coming in with the plant, and poor Shaiko can't see the forest for the trees here. A 1 versus 3, a plant going down. BDS, it goes from bad to worse. Astralis up 5-1.
Astralis just absolutely cruising at the minute, Des. There is no other way of putting it. The EU fans, they're going to be sat heartbroken at the minute with what is being done to BDS. And there comes a point where we've just got to say, BDS, they already look like they're going to potentially struggle here at the major. It's been a hard-fought game against Chiefs. Astralis absolutely running away with this. And I don't know, I just don't see much of the team of old 18 months ago that was dominating a lot of games.
No, not forgetting as well that Wolves are the other team in their group, right, who themselves have put on a pretty good show today. Sure, they lost in overtime. They won their first game of the day, though. So BDS are now going to find themselves fighting it out with Chiefs in that bottom 2 to even have a chance to fight for second place if this carries on. Hopefully it's just the first day jitters and things get back on track tomorrow, but There are only 3 days for you to course correct. This isn't a long group stage like we have at SI. It's all done and wrapped up in 3 days. Iconic really trying to make sure his name comes into fruition here, Tim. Playing a Kavira in round 7.
As you say, it really could be iconic. But, you know, looking at Bank, you said it yourself, there's not a great defender win rate here, so BDS can maybe take something from that. They come out, they have a better attacking half, get themselves a couple of rounds, all of a sudden it's 5-3, and, you know, maybe that's the toehold they're going to need to get themselves back into it. But already, the difference that we're seeing here from Astralis, players on the top floor. We saw BDS struggle to hold on to Staff and Open. They tried twice, they were unsuccessful, and they didn't play anybody on that top floor. They didn't make it difficult for Astralis to get in there and use those verticals, whereas on the flip side, Astralis doing that straight away. Alems, however, walks straight in and finds Shane I know, shuts him down, and that's going to be 5v4.
Where the heck has he come from? He's just got away from anyone who was at the top of the stairs as well. But I think now Astralis are aware, okay, you got away with one. We've taken Shaiko down on the other side. It's not the end of the world. But Alems has really snaked his way through the defensive lines there and caused a bit of damage and caused for a bit of concern on the side of Astralis. Now, got to be careful, but Iconic, he's on the prowl, Tim. He really fancies finding himself something here. Might find his way in through this front desk door. Alems could be his target. He could be the prey here, as in they come. Two of them stepping in forward to Iconic. Pistol in hand, but Alems is saying no. No interrogation today, thank you very much. DP fires straight in with the trades.
It's going to be shut down surely here as he challenges onto 2. It's Ranshiro who finds the kill, and that's going to leave us now 3v2 to BDS, but still, Astralis fighting. Shuttle with a huge double, exactly when the North Americans needed it, and all of a sudden they were on the back foot throughout this round, but now 2v1, it's up to Breedy. We know he's a man that's got a clutch in the locker, but this is not going to be easy. On the Thermite, diffuser in hand, he's got what he needs, but he's getting spotted out by cameras. There's information there being fed in, and it's not going to be easy. They know where he's likely to come from. He's going to open up this wall from electrical to try and get himself a bit of a different angle inside of sight. It will open things up for him all the way through that wall, and Shuttle seriously low healthy and needs to be careful.
And now Breedy is down to it all by himself. Still with one drone in the field if he wants to utilise it, but I guarantee that's watching a flank somewhere, so a little bit stuck. Going to have to force his way in, try and find a fight. Immediately being called out there by the Banshee, so they know where he's coming from, and there's an evil eye watching him, Tim. This is brutal. BDS not able to get rid of any of the utility. Astralis with a very comfortable round 7. Just when BDS thought the Kavira was as bad as it could get, Shuttle finds a 3K.
Honestly, Astralis are tearing BDS apart here. It's the only way to put it. There's just nothing that BDS can do to get themselves into the game. It doesn't matter whether they try to play quickly, aggressively, they try to turtle up, they try to do anything. Astralis have quite simply got the answers.
They have. BDS just look a little bit lost. 7-5 against Chiefs. Okay, maybe they warm up, maybe they turn up here in this game, but Charlotte is looking to be the team that want to charge ahead to the forefront of this group. Wolves so far, arguably the most convincing after them. BDS and Chiefs then really fighting it out for that 3rd spot, but with that win against Chiefs earlier on, BDS might have done just enough, at least for now, to hold themselves in that spot. Let's see how Charlotte do on their downstairs defense, because here, Tim, it's not just one plant denial in the form of the Chanka coming along, it's 2. They've also got the smoke, they've got 2 C4s, they've got the Echo. They are really looking to shut down this BDS attack.
That's it, there's absolutely no way that they are letting the diffuser go down here. We saw Astralis in round number 1, of course, use that little rush in through the main lobby hatch. I'm sort of wondering whether we're going to see anything similar out of BDS, not necessarily the same hatch, but with the Thermite on side, I would expect them to be going stock standard. Rafale switches onto the Monty, so I would expect this to be a push straight down Dirt Tunnel and into server. Try and get control, try and get the plant down, but look at Astralis, Des. By comparison to BDS, they are all over the map.
There's a smoke on top floor,
Very, very difficult for BDS to ignore that.
I mean, Iconic's running around on top floor, but he has got the FMG, so he's not playing like shotgun SMG, no. He's picking up the sort of thing that we saw Citizen Pioneer for quite a while in EUL on maps like Chalet. He'd run around with the smoke, and we asked him why one day, and he said, well, the team needs a shield. Smoke's got a shield. He's got a good gadget. The FMG's a decent gun. why not play him on the roam? He hasn't got to just be an anchor player, because that's what we've all known and seen over the years. So Iconic here very much playing into the same sort of style. Has got himself back on the downstairs now, mind you. Quick rotation down as they realise that it's a Monty coming in from this server side. Rafael, you're playing straight into their playbook here, because again, Astralis have got the perfect comp to deal with this. They've got the Chanka, the Smoke, C4s, the Echo. Everything is engineered towards stopping a plant like this coming down.
The big problem for BDS at the minute is that hatch in Square Skylight. If they don't deal with that situation above them, it's going to be a problem, because they're going to try to push in. They're just going to get shot from the back, shot from above, and that is definitely something they need to be aware of. That's a big start though. Elems manages to get J9O. That is the Echo down. Yokai's gone, and the Chanka, the Shumika launcher coming out there and just burning half health away from the Monty.
Alen's working his way up to the garage here. It's no Ossa, but it is Iconic looking to meet him as well. A second kill coming in, making a third. It looks like they might have found the answer here with those Shumikas still raining through. BDS have got the numbers advantage they were looking for. Alem's working his way up to the garage here. Forrest looking to greet him on the way in here. Goes for a swing. Not quite quick enough. The Frenchman winning that gunfight. A 1 versus 5 and Iconic. You can really put yourself up to that name, my son, if this works out. Finds one. Can't find the second. Smokes out the spot. Goes and finds the second man. Expects a man to come top of blue, but there's no one there. Feels himself back, but the nade from Shaiko was there to meet him. BDS find their second round, but Tim, it is a long hill to climb.
There's a long way for BDS to go before we even get excited about the potential of a comeback here. 6-2 now on the scoreboard, but they dealt with that very, very well. Of course, we saw the 3 players pushing down into service, but the big question was those Astralis players in and around square trying to use the hatch, and it was Shaiko and Alems that were working up above, and they had the answers. They got the kills that were needed, and it protected the players down in server, and it all fell apart for the Astralis defense. But like I said, the problem with Astralis going 5-1 for BDS is all they need to do is lock down one site. So they try somewhere else, and then what are they going to do? They're going to go back to Staff and Open that they've already won, and they're going to rinse and repeat and try to take that result.
That's exactly it. Yeah, for here at least, we try and tell us on archives. And a number of teams said, you know, playing CEO Lounge these days, just not a thing. Like, Attacker Repick has already made it super obnoxious to play against anyway, but window play is just super, super strong. And Astralis seem to be a team buying into that whole idea, given the 3 sites they've rotated through so far. Not quite the same as what we saw out of BDS, but it's going to be all about that vertical play. So keep an eye on where BDS come pushing into, and equally how it's denied by the other side. I'm looking at that C4 in the back pocket of the Mutant, thinking, damn, that's a lot of damage, son, if they can get that used well.
We've seen some big C4 plays today, to be fair. We've seen some real plant denial. We've seen multi-kills with the C4s. And like you say, it can be some absolute freebies available if you can get the information to really utilise them well. Now then, DP Fire is going to be playing upstairs directly above the site. Going to be trying to hold on to CEO for as long as possible. He's got a little bit of support from Forrest as well. Inside of Janitors, he's got a rotation through into CEO so he can move in and around and try to support the WAMI. And BDS, once again, as they did in the last round, they're going to need to get in. They're going to need to get control over that top floor and open things up, but they're still trying to work in behind the big shield of the Monte that's come along with Rafal once again.
Yeah, they're really trying to put everything behind that, but there's some work to do to really make it like sing for BDS, right? It's quite readable at times. DP Fire down on the upstairs, not out yet, but that nade likely coming in from ATMs from Renshiro, enough to at least force him back, which gives BDS a little bit of breathing room, and they're starting to look at their way in from here.
Here the gadget of Thorn just going off there, the Razor Bloom detonating, not going to do any damage, usually more about area denial than actually trying to find kills or get any damage done. And TP Fire is actually going to be picked up back onto 20 health, so BDS still unable to find an opener halfway into this, but they are making good progress. Iconic's going to get a freebie, just waiting on the inside of the doorway there. Alems comes creeping round, and it is nice and easy for Iconic to just snap down and shut the push down. Shaiko manages to find Shuttle with a headshot though, levels things up 4v4, and BDS, they are in a position to start pushing towards site now. That wall's been open, but, and it's a big but, they haven't got top floor control.
That's the problem, right? They need that vertical. We spoke about it earlier on. Otherwise, oh, out the window he goes! Forest finding one, but at the same time, Preday's in sight and holding down F. They've got the cover. The door is blocked. There's one coming down from Marble. Looks like he's got to find this kill. Man running off to the side. It's J90 pushing round towards the side. Iconic bringing one back. A 4 versus 2. It's Monty and the Shaiko against the world. It's not looking good. Iconic with a 3K is down. Forest with the close. It'll be a defuse coming through. Astralis trouncing BDS on day one with a 7-2 victory on Bank.
There's no other way to put it, quite frankly, Des. That is the best description. A good old-fashioned trouncing as they go through 7-2. And BDS, they've got to be wondering exactly what happened there.
A little bit shell-shocked, I imagine. That was over before it even started. That first half of 5-1, they get something at least moving in the second half, but it's just nowhere near enough. J90 coming out as the top-rated player as well. Just overall, such a strong game from Astralis and really showing why they are the only team currently sat on 5 points, Tim.
And I mean, what I loved really was that it was a real team performance as well. There was a little bit chipped in from everywhere. You know, we had really nice kills. For me, there was some mistakes there from BDS that they really wouldn't expect out of them. There's one that's really stuck with me, one kill, Elems. Even though the wall had been opened that gave the view down from the window, down the corridor on top floor, he knew the wall had been opened by a Selma charge at elevators, and he still stepped out to peek into it, and it was just an easy pickup for DP Fire, and I just think, why are you peeking that? You know, what are you going to gain from that? And it's just, it seems such an uncharacteristic move for BDS.
A little bit doomed in a way because they kept checking it in case there was someone there like, oh, it must be clear, right? But you just never know when they're going to move into spot, and well, they absolutely trounced them with it, Tim. That's the word for that game. I think trounce has become our favourite word in the last 5 minutes. We've both said it about 5 times. But again, overall, a very strong day for Astralis and BDS. Some work to do ahead of tomorrow. We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about this game a little bit more.
Attackers need to protect the diffuser. Position compromised.
Hear the sound of the bells when the love gone, and the boys unleash hell when the war's on. Bloodthirsty when the dogs put their paws on. You gon' tell them that they throw a little bit of gloss on. I'm the general, I can be worth something. My soldiers is ready to put a black hearse on them. Bring them to the wake, break them with a requiem and throw them in the pit and throw a little bit of dirt on them. Dirt on them, throw a little dirt on them. Trigger fingers in the air, put a little work on them. Work on them, put a little work on them. Trigger finger in the air, put a little dirt on them.
Welcome back to the A stream here at the Charlotte 6 Major, where we've just seen Astralis, well, demolish BDS. There's no real short way of putting it. It was a 7-2 slaughter on Bank. ending the day on 5 points for Astralis. A wonderful first day here at the Major, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, for me, BDS had already lost it on defence. It came in 5-1 at the half, and as I say, they just didn't play out into the map. They didn't use the strengths of Bank, which are the size of it, which are the difficulty to track roamers down. You can get up and down, you can jump over balconies, use hatches, stairs. You've so many options to be able to rotate around and make your life difficult for the attackers, but they just didn't utilise it, BDS, and when they tried to, it was ineffective. Astralis were able to shut them down and get the kills, and for me, it was already lost when they came into the second half.
Absolutely, yeah, a lot of it really. I thought you saw a Lems throughout much of that first half, rotating between different roam operators as well. We saw things like the Vigil coming out, the Valkyrie stepped in, the Alibi was present, but nothing just really seemed to have the impact that they needed. I do want to give a big shout out to Astralis, because I haven't personally seen that Ossa play coming in through Garage on Bank before. It is so effective, and I think BDS equally were a bit blindsided by it, because the counter to it is shut it down before it gets started to hold on to some of those impacts. People fear something like a nut coming in through Garage. Everyone's going to start fearing the Ossa now coming in from teams like Astralis, so keep a close eye on that one. That may yet see some more play on Bank throughout this Major.
That's it, definitely could be the next evolution, but I mean, looking towards, you know, the rest of the tournament as well, and Astralis coming out looking strong today. 5 points, a great performance against BDS, really able to shut them down. We've got the stats coming up there as well. You can see, as I said, a real team performance from Astralis. I said that's the feeling that I had, and the stats just back it up there. 9, 8, 8, 8 as turn in terms of the kills. Everybody chipping in.
On the other side, even though the kills picked up for 1 or 2 members, you know, mainly Shaiko and Rafael, just not seeing what we needed. It lends the 33% cost. Brede the same. We spoke about Brede. God Planter, you know, always gets consistently high plants any event that he goes to. A bit of a clutch king as well when the frontliners fell down. We're just not seeing that same BDS that we're all used to seeing, not just like locally, Tim, but also on these big global stages.
Absolutely. You've got to shout out, and it's not a stat we always look at that often, but the survivability for Forest there as well. Only 3 deaths throughout that game inside of 9 rounds, so 66% survival rate. That's really something.
Did you catch my little pun about Forest in the middle of it all?
I did. It was a beautiful
Forest
one.
of the trees. It was a good one. I like that one. We'll find some more about these boys, because there's so many names in there that I was like, damn, you can talk about getting the first shuttle back to the airport if he's packing them onto the bus.
I don't think they're going to be doing that.
No, they'll be packing other people onto the shuttle, Tim. That'll come on day 3. I've got absolutely no doubt about that one. We do still have 2 more games to come here on this stream later on. I think we've got Furia versus Xset and then Furia versus Liquid. That'll be exciting to see. Again, Furia are one of our remote teams. It's worth stressing as well, unfortunately. So they're playing with a little bit of a disadvantage. Liquid, of course, one of our on-site teams. And Xset, I want to see them really start to fight for it as well, because there's a lot of hype about Astralis, but Xset, on the right day, have also looked pretty good.
They have, yeah. There's certainly a team that can get points. Could well fight their way out of the group. It's not going to be easy for them. It's going to be a challenge. But
is it easy for anyone at this event, though?
No, I mean, Furia I'm interested to see, because it's the first major with the new players. They've changed things up a little bit. They're always an exciting team. They're always one that's got a lot of resilience and will fight through to try and get results. So, an exciting team to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. Still lots more to come. And as a reminder, this is only day 1. There are still 2 more days of groups to go and lots of games for you to enjoy. The B stream's still ongoing, so go and check that out when we go into a quick break. That's me and Tim done for today, though. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go and put our feet up and watch some games with you guys in Twitch chat. So enjoy. Catch you guys in a few for the next game of the day.